CompTIA Project Plus PK0-005 Practice Exam. Assuming that you have studied and are now well versed in all the topics outlined in the CompTIA Project Plus exam objectives, then you are ready for the next step in your certification journey. This video is filled with 200+ questions that closely resemble the real exam and will help you to gauge your readiness. So, are you prepared to test your knowledge? Great. Let's begin. Question 1. During a phase gate review, a deliverable is rejected due to misalignment with project requirements. After discussion, the customer agrees to revised requirements and the change is approved. Which of the following documents should the project manager update as a result of this change? The answer is B. Change log, project schedule, and risk register. When a deliverable is rejected during a gate review and a scope change is approved, the project manager must first record the change in the change log, ensuring the decision and its details are formally documented. The project schedule should then be updated to reflect any revised timelines or task modifications. In parallel, the risk register must be reviewed and revised to address any new risks or changes to existing ones. Question 2. During the execution phase of a server migration project, the sponsor requests an additional work package be added to address new legal requirements. The project manager approves the scope change and needs to select a tool to track progress and dependencies across tasks, including the new package. Which of the following tools is the most appropriate for this purpose? The answer is A. Gantt chart. A Gantt chart is the most appropriate tool for tracking task progress, timelines, and dependencies across the project, especially when new work is added to the scope. It visually maps out each task along a timeline, making it easy to see how changes affect the overall schedule. This is especially useful in a server migration project where sequencing and duration are critical. While other tools offer insights into issues, risks, or resources, the Gantt chart best supports timeline-based progress tracking. Question 3. During the execution phase of a software implementation project, the project manager notices that the customer service department is hesitant to use the new ticketing platform. This resistance could delay full deployment and affect service quality. Which of the following should the project manager do to better understand the cause and increase user adoption? The answer is B. Train the team and hold feedback sessions to identify concerns. To increase organizational acceptance and address adoption issues, the project manager should engage with users through training and feedback sessions. This helps uncover root causes of resistance, such as unfamiliarity or perceived workflow disruption, and allows for tailored solutions. These actions are core components of organizational change management, which aims to ensure successful transitions and adoption during project execution. Question 4. Following a successful product launch, a project manager distributes a survey to stakeholders to assess how the project was executed and identify areas for improvement. Which of the following closing phase activities would most likely incorporate the results of the survey? The answer is C. Performance evaluation. Surveys collected after a project release help evaluate how effectively the team performed, including communication, execution, and collaboration. This input is used in performance evaluations, which help managers identify strengths, address challenges, and guide improvements for future projects. Question 5. Which of the following is an activity that should be performed during the closing phase to support the project's triple constraint? The answer is D. Reconciling the budget. The project triple constraint consists of scope, time, and cost, each affecting the others throughout the project. During the closing phase, reconciling the budget ensures all financials are settled and compared against original estimates and actual expenses. This directly supports the cost portion of the triple constraint, and helps evaluate how closely the project stayed within its financial boundaries. Question 6. A project manager is reviewing a recent quality audit and sees that multiple issues have been reported. To determine which causes have the greatest overall impact and should be addressed first, which of the following tools would be most appropriate to use? The answer is C. Pareto chart. A Pareto chart is used to identify the most significant factors contributing to a problem by displaying issues in descending order of frequency or impact. It's based on the 80-20 rule, which suggests that 80% of problems often arise from just 20% of the causes. By using a Pareto chart, project managers can focus their efforts on resolving the most impactful issues first, maximizing the effectiveness of quality improvements. It is common for a Pareto chart to combine a bar graph and a line graph. The bars would represent individual categories or issues, sorted from most to least frequent, making it easy to see which problems occur most often. The line graph shows the cumulative percentage, helping the viewer quickly assess how much of the total impact is caused by the leading categories. When read together, these elements allow project managers to visually pinpoint where targeted improvements will deliver the greatest benefit. Question 7. Which of the following best describes how an organization should coordinate and manage multiple related projects that support a shared strategic goal? The answer is B. Establish a program. When an organization needs to manage multiple related projects that contribute to a common objective, it should group them under a program. A program enables centralized coordination, shared resources, and aligned strategic goals. This structure ensures that dependencies and risks across projects are managed efficiently, enhancing overall success. A program is distinct from a portfolio, which manages a broader collection of unrelated initiatives. Question 8. A project team holds weekly progress meetings to ensure that team members who are unable to attend remain updated on tasks and decisions. Which of the following should the project manager most likely prepare? The answer is D. Meeting minutes. Meeting minutes provide an official written summary of what was discussed, decided, and assigned during a meeting. They are especially useful for keeping absent team members informed about their responsibilities, upcoming deadlines, and any changes made to the project. Because they capture the most current updates and decisions, meeting minutes are essential for maintaining alignment, accountability, and continuity across the project team. Question 9. A project manager prefers direct, real-time interaction with team members to encourage quick feedback and dynamic discussions. Which of the following communication methods best supports this preference? The answer is B. Synchronous. Synchronous communication takes place in real time, allowing for instant feedback and interactive discussions through methods like video calls or live chats. This makes it ideal when quick decisions or collaboration are needed. In contrast, asynchronous communication, such as email, has a delay between responses and is better suited for updates that don't require immediate attention. Question 10. Midway through a project, the project manager identifies that the team will not meet the scheduled deadline due to limited resource availability. Which of the following should the project manager do next to address the delay? The answer is B. Work with the functional managers to create a workaround. When a project is at risk of falling behind schedule due to resource constraints, the project manager should first collaborate with functional managers, who are responsible for departmental staffing and resource allocation. By working together, they can explore practical solutions such as reallocating personnel, adjusting workloads, or implementing short-term workarounds. This type of internal coordination is often the most efficient way to resolve resource issues without escalating the problem or initiating formal change control. Question 11. A project manager has developed the project schedule by confirming task durations, validating constraints, and sequencing the work. Which of the following activities must still be performed to fully complete the schedule? The answer is A. Allocate resources. While sequencing tasks and estimating durations are key components of building the schedule, the project manager must still allocate resources to ensure each activity has the required personnel or assets to be completed. Without resource assignments, the schedule remains theoretical and cannot be executed. Resource allocation is a final and essential step in converting the schedule from a plan into a workable timeline. Question 12. Which of the following artifacts should team members reference to understand task responsibilities and the appropriate level of communication with each stakeholder? The answer is C. RACI chart. A RACI chart is a responsibility assignment matrix that clarifies who is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed for each task or deliverable in a project. It helps team members quickly identify who owns a task, who makes decisions, and who needs to be kept in the loop. This ensures there is no confusion about roles, prevents communication breakdowns, and promotes accountability. Because it outlines both responsibilities and communication expectations, the RACI chart is an essential tool for effective coordination. Question 13. During a staff meeting, a project manager raises a concern about the billing rate being charged to the client for a specific engineer. Which of the following documents should the project manager consult to verify this information? The answer is C. SOW. The Statement of Work, or SOW, is a formal project document that outlines the specific services, tasks, or work to be delivered under a contractual agreement. It serves as a foundational reference between the client and the service provider. In addition to defining deliverables, timelines, and milestones, the SOW typically includes detailed payment terms and billing rates for assigned personnel. Question 14. During the testing phase of a project, several bugs are identified that may impact the ability to meet the scheduled delivery date. Which of the following tools should the project manager use first to record these findings? The answer is A. Defect log. A defect log is used to track problems or bugs found during the testing phase of a project. In this context, a bug is considered a defect because it causes the product to behave incorrectly or not meet requirements. The defect log captures details like the description, severity, status, and resolution of each issue. While an issue log tracks general project concerns, the defect log is the correct tool for recording bugs found during testing. If you see the word bug, think defect. Question 15. A project manager has been diligent about maintaining version control for project requirements documentation. Which of the following tools is the project manager most likely using to support this activity? The answer is A. Multi-authoring software. Multi-authoring software allows multiple users to work on the same document in real time while maintaining version control, edit tracking, and collaborative updates. This is essential in projects where requirements and documents evolve and accuracy and traceability are critical. Unlike a standard word processor, these tools help ensure the team is always working from the most current version of a document and reduces the risk of conflicting edits. Question 16. The project team is preparing to deploy a new inventory application across a facility. However, they confirm that the application cannot be installed until the servers are fully configured and connected to the network. Which of the following types of dependencies does this represent? The answer is C. Mandatory. This scenario represents a mandatory dependency, also known as hard logic, because configuring and connecting the servers is a required prerequisite before the application can be installed. These types of dependencies are driven by technical or physical constraints and cannot be bypassed. In contrast, discretionary dependencies, or soft logic, are based on preferred practices, experience, or team decisions rather than necessity. Question 17. A hurricane has delayed the delivery of critical project equipment, potentially affecting the project timeline. Which of the following tools is best for documenting the impact of this unexpected delay? The answer is A. Issue log. An issue log is used to track broader project-related problems, such as delays, resource conflicts, or stakeholder concerns that occur during project execution. In this case, a delay caused by a hurricane qualifies as an unexpected issue that could impact the schedule. The issue log captures the nature of the problem, its impact, and any steps taken toward resolution or escalation. Keeping this information documented helps maintain visibility and accountability, ensuring timely action to keep the project on track. Question 18. During the planning phase, a project manager meets with all stakeholders to agree on the minimum viable product that can be delivered within the budget and time constraints. Which of the following should the project manager use to document this input? The answer is B. Project Management Plan. The Project Management Plan is a comprehensive document that outlines how the project will be executed, monitored, and closed. During the planning phase, it is used to define scope, schedule, baselines, milestones, and the minimum viable product, or MVP, when constraints such as time and budget limit full functionality. Documenting the MVP in this plan ensures all stakeholders are aligned on what will be delivered and helps guide project execution according to agreed-upon priorities. Question 19. A project manager who was not involved in the original contract negotiation is concerned that stakeholders may expect deliverables beyond the project's intent, based on what was included in the RFP. Which of the following should the project manager create first to begin communicating the official boundaries of the project? The answer is C. Project Charter. The project charter is the first document that formally defines a project and serves as a high-level agreement on what the project will and will not deliver. It outlines key elements such as the project objectives, success criteria, and a preliminary scope statement, all of which help establish clear expectations and boundaries. If there is any confusion or misalignment among stakeholders, the project manager should use the charter to clarify intent and initiate formal communication. Question 20. In a functional organizational structure, a project has been completed successfully. Which of the following actions would the project manager most likely take next? The answer is D. Release resources and notify the functional manager. In a functional organization, team members report to their functional managers, not directly to the project manager. After project completion, the project manager does not have authority to reassign or retain team members. So the proper step is to formally notify the functional manager that resources are released. Failing to release them can lead to problems such as billing errors or personnel being unavailable for other projects, which can disrupt organizational planning and resource allocation. Additionally, I think it's important to clarify that in project management, the term resources includes people, such as developers, testers, analysts, or engineers, who are assigned to perform work, not just material assets. In fact, personnel are considered one of the most critical types of resources, and managing their availability is essential for keeping costs accurate and ensuring that other projects have access to the skills they need. Question 21. A vendor has been engaged to perform a short-term task, but the duration of the work cannot be accurately estimated and the cost cannot be calculated up front. Which of the following contract types should the project manager put in place before work begins? The answer is A. Time and materials. A time and materials contract is the most appropriate choice when the duration and total cost of the work cannot be accurately predicted in advance. This type of contract allows the project to move forward by agreeing to pay the vendor based on the actual hours worked and materials used. It offers flexibility for short-term or undefined tasks, where a fixed price or detailed scope is not possible. Question 22. Which of the following actions would be most beneficial to complete before a scheduled call to ensure that all meeting items are addressed and the correct participants are included? The answer is B. Distribute an agenda. Distributing an agenda before a meeting ensures that all participants understand the topics to be covered and can come prepared to contribute meaningfully. It also helps confirm that the right people are invited by clearly outlining what will be discussed. A well-prepared agenda improves meeting focus, keeps discussions on track, and increases the likelihood that all important items are addressed within the time allotted. Question 23. While developing the project charter, a project manager identifies that key legal requirements were missed during the preparation phase. If unaddressed, this could lead to serious financial penalties for the organization. Additionally, the required changes would exceed the current project's scope and budget. Which of the following should the project manager do first? The answer is D. Hold a meeting with the project sponsor and main stakeholders. When a significant legal oversight is discovered during the project preparation phase, the first step is to engage the project sponsor and key stakeholders. These individuals have the authority to assess the business impact, weigh the risks, and determine whether the project's scope, budget, or priorities need to be adjusted to resolve the issue. Addressing the concern at this level ensures alignment with organizational goals and allows for informed decision-making before the project progresses further. Question 24. Which of the following activities would a project manager perform during the closing phase? The answer is A. Review lessons learned, release resources, and remove access. The closing phase of a project focuses on wrapping up all project activities and transitioning out of the project environment. This includes conducting a lessons learned session, releasing resources back to their departments, and removing access to project systems and tools. These actions help formally close the project, ensure compliance, and support organizational knowledge sharing. Question 25. During a project review, several recurring defects are discovered in deliverables. Which of the following tools would best help the project team identify why these defects are happening and prevent them from recurring? The answer is B. Identify the root cause of the defects. Root cause analysis is a common quality assurance tool used to uncover the underlying reasons for repeated issues or defects in a project. By identifying and addressing the source of the problem rather than just the symptoms, project teams can improve processes and prevent future errors. Question 26. A project manager is coordinating a pilot test for a new device across several international offices. While most team members receive the device on time, several international team members report delays due to customs clearance and import restrictions. Which of the following considerations is most likely causing the issue? The answer is D. Country legal regulations. Country legal regulations can affect the shipment, import, and use of equipment across international borders. Delays related to customs, compliance with local laws, or import restrictions are common issues in global projects and must be accounted for during planning. These regulations vary by country and may impact timelines, access to materials, or even legal approval for testing equipment, especially if the devices use encryption or wireless communication technologies. Question 27. A project manager has been assigned to a new initiative that is already in the planning phase. To better understand the purpose, background, and context of the project, which of the following should the project manager do first? The answer is C. Review existing artifacts. To gain a clear understanding of a project's purpose and scope during the planning phase, a project manager should begin by reviewing existing artifacts, such as the business case, preliminary requirements, or concept documents. These artifacts provide foundational context and help the project manager align the plan with the project's original intent. Starting with this step ensures that future planning activities are grounded in the initial vision and expectations for the project. Question 28. A project team member receives an email from someone claiming to represent a tax agency, requesting access to the project repository. The message appears urgent and official but contains suspicious links. Which of the following best describes this type of threat? The answer is B. Phishing. This scenario is an example of phishing, a type of social engineering attack in which someone poses as a trusted entity, like a tax agency, to trick the recipient into providing access, credentials, or sensitive information. Phishing typically occurs through email and often includes fake links or attachments. Question 29. A stakeholder located in a remote area has not been responding to project emails. Internet access is limited in the region, and the stakeholder prefers communication by phone. Which of the following should the project manager have considered to prevent this issue? The answer is B. Acceptable communication channels. To ensure effective communication throughout a project, especially when team members or stakeholders have limitations or preferences, the project manager should define acceptable communication channels early on. This information is typically part of the communication plan, which outlines how information will be exchanged, through which mediums, and with whom. Failure to document and follow preferred communication methods can lead to missed updates and stakeholder disengagement. Question 30. A project team is reviewing the following control chart. Based on the data points, what does this pattern most likely indicate? The answer is C. The process is out of control. A control chart is a quality assurance tool used to monitor how a process performs over time by plotting measured values against a center line, usually the mean, along with upper and lower control limits. These limits help define the expected range of natural variation in a stable process. Even if all data points fall within these limits, the process may still require attention if the pattern of the data suggests something unusual is occurring. One commonly used rule to detect these patterns is the rule of 7, which states that if 7 or more points in a row fall on the same side of the mean, the process is no longer behaving randomly and is considered out of control. This doesn't necessarily mean the values are incorrect, but it signals that the process may be gradually shifting or being influenced by a consistent external factor. When this happens, the project team should investigate and determine whether corrective action is needed to bring the process back under control. Question 31. After receiving approval to expand a project's scope to include an additional training module, the project manager updates the schedule and resource allocations in the project plan. Which of the following should the project manager do next in the change control process? The answer is B. Communicate the change deployment. After a change has been approved and incorporated into the project plan, the next step in the change control process is to communicate the change deployment. This ensures that all stakeholders and team members are informed about the change, when it will occur, and any resulting adjustments to their responsibilities. Communication before implementation is essential to maintain clarity and alignment across the project team. Question 32. A training coordinator charted how study time impacted test performance for a group of certification candidates. Based on the data presented in the chart, which of the following best describes the relationship between study time and test performance? The answer is C. Positive correlation. The chart demonstrates that as hours studied increase, exam scores also increase, forming a clear and consistent upward trend. This pattern indicates a positive correlation, which means that as one variable rises, the other tends to rise as well. In this case, the more time students dedicate to studying, the better their performance on the exam. Positive correlations like this suggest a direct relationship between effort and results, and are often used to highlight how increased input or preparation can lead to improved outcomes. Question 33. Midway through a project, an unexpected opportunity arises that could accelerate the timeline and increase stakeholder satisfaction. Which of the following risk responses would be best for the project manager to utilize in this scenario? The answer is A. Exploit. When a project opportunity arises, such as finishing ahead of schedule, lowering costs, or enhancing product quality, the best response may be to exploit the risk. This strategy means taking intentional and proactive actions to make sure the opportunity actually happens and that its benefits are fully realized. While exploitation is just one of several positive risk response strategies, it is by far the most direct and assertive approach when the goal is to maximize the advantage. Now, when it comes to risks, it is important to remember that a risk isn't always a threat. Some risks represent opportunities that can lead to significant benefits. That is why the exam objectives for Project Plus list both negative and positive risks. Question 34. A program manager is reviewing the project portfolio to prioritize initiatives that align with the organization's long-term goals. Which of the following should be considered in this evaluation? The answer is A. Company vision and mission statement. When evaluating and prioritizing projects within a portfolio, the program manager must consider how each initiative supports the company's strategic direction, which is defined by its vision and mission statements. These elements guide long-term decision-making and ensure that resources are allocated to projects that align with organizational goals. Focusing on strategic alignment helps maximize business value and ensures cohesive progress across all projects. Question 35. To support daily stand-up meetings, a visual was created to show which items are being worked on, which are completed, and which are yet to begin. Which of the following best describes this type of visual? The answer is C. Task board. A task board is a visual management tool commonly used in agile environments to show the real-time progress of work during a project. Items are usually organized into columns such as To Do, In Progress, and Done, providing a clear view of what's happening at any given moment. It's especially useful during daily stand-up meetings to keep the team aligned and focused. Question 36. A project manager has been assigned to lead a multinational project with team members located across multiple continents. Which of the following is the most important factor to consider when managing communication and collaboration across the team? The answer is D. Cultural differences. In a multinational project, cultural differences are one of the most important factors for a project manager to consider. Team members from different regions may have varying expectations around communication styles, hierarchy, decision-making, and feedback. Misunderstandings can easily arise if cultural norms are not respected or acknowledged. By being culturally aware and adapting their approach, the project manager can build trust, foster collaboration, and ensure smoother communication across the team. Question 37. A project manager is overseeing the deployment of a new web-based application. The development team explains that the system will use a 3-tier architecture. Which of the following best describes this architecture model? The answer is B. Presentation, application, and data processing. 3-tier architecture separates an application into 3 logical layers: the presentation layer, the application layer, and the data layer. This structure improves scalability, maintainability, and separation of concerns. That is why it is a common architectural choice for modern web and enterprise applications. Question 38. An organization is migrating its internal applications from an on-premises data center to a cloud-based environment. The IT team wants to maintain control over the operating systems, apply custom configurations, and manage their own software deployments. Which of the following cloud models best supports these requirements? The answer is A. Infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service gives organizations access to compute, storage, and networking resources on demand while allowing them to manage the operating systems, middleware, and applications. This cloud model is ideal for IT teams that need more control over their environment, especially when migrating from on-premises systems to the cloud. Question 39. Which of the following items must be protected as personally identifiable information? The answer is B. Home address and date of birth. Personally identifiable information, or PII, includes personal data that can be used to uniquely identify or locate an individual. Items such as a home address and date of birth are considered PII and must be protected under privacy regulations. While job-related information like a work phone number or job title is typically considered public, personal contact details and birth dates can pose a risk to privacy if exposed or misused. Question 40. Based on the following burn-up chart, which of the following best describes the current status of the project? The answer is D. Behind schedule and over budget. A burn-up chart is a visual project management tool used to track progress toward project completion and is designed to display metrics over time. In this example, the green line represents the planned scope, while the red line shows the realized scope, or how much has actually been completed. The blue line represents the planned cost, and the yellow line shows the actual cost incurred. Since the red line, or realized scope, is below the green line, or planned scope, the project is behind schedule. Additionally, because the yellow line, or actual cost, is above the blue line, or planned cost, the project is also over budget. Together, these indicators signal that the project is not progressing as expected and may require corrective action or stakeholder intervention. Question 41. A company is planning a new project. Which of the following criteria would favor using the Agile methodology to manage the upcoming project? The answer is D. Multiple undefined tasks. Agile methodology is ideal for projects where the requirements are not fully defined at the start and where the environment is tolerant of changes in scope. It supports an iterative, flexible approach that allows teams to adapt quickly as priorities shift or new information emerges. A project with multiple undefined tasks is a strong candidate for Agile, as this approach allows for ongoing clarification and development over time through regular feedback and collaboration. Question 42. Which document is most likely to include the following elements: purpose, period of performance, location of work, deliverables schedule, applicable standards, acceptance criteria, special requirements, and payment schedule? The answer is D. SOW. A statement of work, or SOW, is a key document that explains exactly what work will be done during a project. It includes important details such as the purpose, scope of work, location, timeline, deliverables, applicable standards, and acceptance criteria. It also outlines special requirements in the payment schedule, including costs or billing rates for assigned personnel. The SOW is commonly used in procurement to ensure both the project team and the client clearly understand what is expected, how much it will cost, and how the work will be delivered. Question 43. While managing a project manager is assigned to a second initiative. As the second project grows in complexity, it begins to consume most of the PM's time, causing delays in the original project. Which of the following actions should the project manager take next? The answer is D. Contact the PMO for assistance. The Project Management Office, or PMO, is an organizational unit responsible for providing oversight, resource coordination, and strategic guidance across all projects. When a project manager becomes overextended by managing multiple initiatives, involving the PMO is the most effective next step. The PMO can assess the situation, help redistribute workloads, and recommend changes or reassignments to keep both projects on track and aligned with organizational priorities. Question 44. A project team is working on a product that needs to deliver incremental value quickly and in short, time-box cycles. The team is small, self-organized, and requires frequent input from the business stakeholders. Which of the following methodologies or frameworks best fits this approach? The answer is C. Scrum. Scrum is a framework within the Agile methodology designed for delivering incremental value in short time-box cycles called sprints. It emphasizes frequent input from business stakeholders and relies on small, self-organizing teams to manage their own work. Scrum is especially effective when requirements are expected to evolve and rapid feedback is needed to guide development. Question 45. A project manager is notified that the delivery of critical IT equipment for the project will be delayed. Which of the following should the project manager do first? The answer is A. Conduct an impact assessment. When informed of a delivery delay, the project manager's first step should be to conduct an impact assessment to determine how the delay will affect the project's timeline, scope, cost, resources, and overall objectives. This analysis helps evaluate the severity of the delay and whether it puts key milestones or deliverables at risk. The results of the assessment will guide the project manager's next steps. Question 46. A project manager is preparing a project closeout report. Which of the following best identifies the purpose of this report? The answer is C. To confirm project completion and final acceptance. A project closeout report is an official document that confirms all project work has been completed. The agreed-upon deliverables have been accepted and the project objectives have been met. It serves as a formal checkpoint that signals the end of the project and ensures that all administrative, financial, and contractual obligations have been fulfilled. This report provides stakeholders and the organization with a clear record of completion and serves as the basis for formally closing out the project in accordance with organizational policies. Question 47. During the discovery phase, a project manager is working with stakeholders to compare the expected cost of a proposed project against the financial savings it is projected to deliver once completed. What is the outcome of this type of analysis? The answer is A. ROI. Return on investment, or ROI, is a financial metric used during the early stages of a project, often in the discovery phase, to determine whether the potential benefits of a project outweigh the costs. It compares the total expected cost of the project to the value or savings it is expected to generate. A positive ROI indicates the project is likely to provide a financial return and is often used to justify moving forward with the initiative. Question 48. A key stakeholder directly asks a senior developer to include a new feature that is not documented in the current project requirements. Which of the following is the most likely situation occurring? The answer is A. Scope creep. Scope creep occurs when features, deliverables, or requirements are added to a project without going through formal change control procedures. In this case, a stakeholder bypassed the project manager and directly requested a new feature from the developer, without it being part of the approved requirement documentation. This behavior risks disrupting the project timeline, budget, and scope if not addressed through proper channels. Question 49. Several defects have been identified in a recent project deliverable. The project team wants to determine the root cause of these issues to prevent them from happening again. Which of the following tools would be most appropriate to use? The answer is C. Fishbone or Ishikawa diagram. The fishbone diagram, also known as the Ishikawa diagram or cause and effect diagram, is a visual tool used to systematically identify the root causes of a problem. It begins with a clearly defined issue, such as a defect or delay, placed at the head of the diagram. From there, the diagram branches into major categories of potential causes, such as methods, mechanics, people, materials, measurements, and environment. Each category is then broken down into specific contributing factors, helping the team explore and organize all possible root causes in a structured way. This tool is especially useful during quality reviews and problem-solving sessions, where understanding the origin of an issue is essential for implementing effective solutions. Question 50. A project manager is preparing to update the project sponsor and senior stakeholders on the current progress of a project. Which of the following tools would be the most appropriate to use in this situation? The answer is A. Dashboard. A project dashboard is a reporting tool that provides a high-level visual overview of the project's status. It typically includes key performance indicators such as schedule, budget, scope, and risk, offering a clear summary of the project's overall health. Dashboards are especially useful for updating sponsors and senior stakeholders, who often need quick, concise insights to stay informed without reviewing detailed documentation. Question 51. While developing the project schedule, a project manager includes several activities that have zero duration. These activities are used to mark key events or achievements in the project. Which of the following best describes these items? The answer is C. Milestones. Milestones are schedule elements that represent significant events or checkpoints in a project. They have zero duration because they are not tasks that require time to complete. They simply indicate that a phase, deliverable, or decision point has been reached. Milestones help track progress and are often tied to approvals, phase transitions, or major deliverables. Question 52. During a status review meeting, a stakeholder compliments the project manager on staying ahead of schedule and under budget. Encouraged by the progress, the stakeholder suggests adding a new feature which was not part of the original project scope. How should the project manager respond to this request? The answer is B. Assess the impact of the request and create a change request. When a stakeholder requests a feature that is not included in the original scope, the project manager must follow the change control process. The first step is to evaluate the potential impact on the project's budget, timeline, and resources. If the change is feasible and aligns with project goals, the manager should then submit a formal change request for approval. This process ensures the project remains controlled and aligned with agreed-upon objectives. Question 53. While preparing for a system rollout, a project manager confirms that testing passed and gives the go-ahead for deployment. Shortly after launch, an unexpected system failure affects core functionality and disrupts operations. Which of the following should the project manager have created first to minimize the impact of such an event? The answer is D. A contingency plan. A contingency plan is a proactive strategy developed to prepare for known risks that may impact a project. It outlines backup actions the team can take to reduce the effect of a risk if it occurs. Unlike a backup plan, a contingency plan is broad in scope and can be used at any stage of the project, not just during system rollouts. Its purpose is to help the project stay on track by addressing a variety of potential issues, not just reversing technical changes. Question 54. During a brainstorming session, a project manager and team identify several techniques that will help ensure confidence in the deliverables and verify that the project stays aligned with its defined scope and goals. Which of the following plans is the project manager most likely developing? The answer is C. Quality Assurance Plan. A quality assurance plan focuses on the processes and techniques used to ensure that the project will meet its quality standards and deliverables. It is designed to promote confidence in the project outcomes and confirm that the work remains aligned with the project's goals and scope. Question 55. A project manager becomes aware of ongoing communication issues between team members and stakeholders. Which of the following actions should the project manager take next to address the situation effectively? The answer is A. Review the communication plan. When communication issues arise, the first step a project manager should take is to review the communication plan. This plan outlines how information should be shared, who is responsible for delivering it, which channels should be used, and how frequently updates should occur. Reviewing the plan helps the project manager determine whether expectations are being met or if adjustments are needed to improve communication. Question 56. An organization was fined after an audit revealed that a third-party vendor had access to secured project information in a newly implemented system. Which of the following was the most likely cause of this situation? The answer is C. The system is lacking proper access controls. Access controls are used to manage who has permission to view or interact with sensitive project data. Without proper access settings in place, third parties, such as vendors, can unintentionally be granted visibility into secured information, leading to security breaches and compliance violations. To prevent this, it's essential to implement role-based access controls and thoroughly review all user permissions during system configuration and rollout. Question 57. A public institution is looking for a software solution to help departments manage the flow of formal internal approvals, including routing documents for signatures, tracking version history, and ensuring proper retention of finalized records. Which of the following would be the best type of system to implement? The answer is B. Electronic document and record management systems. An electronic document and record management system is designed for managing the complete life cycle of formal documentation. It supports features such as document routing, version control, digital signatures, audit trails, and long-term retention, making it ideal for use cases like tracking internal approvals or managing regulatory documentation. Question 58. After successful testing of a newly implemented system, the project manager prepares to move the project toward closure. Which of the following actions should the project manager take next? The answer is A. Validate deliverables and acquire project sign-off. After testing is completed, the next step is to validate that the deliverables meet the acceptance criteria defined in the scope and obtain formal sign-off from the customer or key stakeholders. This step confirms that the work has been completed to satisfaction and signals readiness for project closure or transition. Without this formal acceptance, the project cannot be officially marked as complete. Question 59. Which of the following types of testing is performed on an existing system to confirm that previously working functionality still operates correctly after a new change or update has been applied? The answer is B. Regression testing. Regression testing is performed after changes are made to a system, such as bug fixes, updates, or new features, to ensure that existing functionality still works as expected. It helps identify if any new changes have unintentionally broken previously stable parts of the application. This type of testing is essential in preventing unintended side effects and maintaining overall system reliability. Question 60. A project team is looking for a solution to store information collected throughout the project lifecycle. The tool must allow centralized access, support search functionality, and enable collaboration among team members located in different regions. Which of the following tools would best meet these needs? The answer is D. Wiki Knowledge Base. A wiki knowledge base is the best tool for storing project information, especially lessons learned, in a centralized, searchable location. It enables team members across different regions to collaborate in real time, contribute updates, and maintain a living record of decisions, resources, and outcomes. Unlike static folders or documents, a wiki supports version control, organization by topic, and continuous contribution, making it ideal for long-term knowledge sharing and accessible documentation throughout the project lifecycle. Question 61. During the project planning phase, a project manager is preparing to construct a detailed schedule and identify how tasks are dependent on one another. The manager needs to represent which activities must occur before others can begin. Which of the following techniques should the project manager use? The answer is C. Precedence diagramming method. The precedence diagramming method is used to build a project schedule by identifying the logical order of activities. It visually maps out which tasks must be completed before or after other tasks. For example, you must complete the design phase before starting development. The precedence diagramming method helps the project manager understand the flow of work, manage dependencies, and construct a clear and realistic schedule. Question 62. After completing the vendor integration portion of a system deployment, a project manager wants to verify that the work delivered meets quality expectations and that the project has sufficient resources to continue into the next stage of the project. Which of the following actions should the project manager take to ensure readiness before proceeding? The answer is C. Coordinate a phase gate review. A phase gate review is a structured checkpoint that occurs at the end of a project phase. It gives the project manager and stakeholders an opportunity to review the goals of the project, evaluate the progress made, and discuss whether the project is ready to move forward. This includes confirming that deliverables meet predefined standards and ensuring there is adequate time, budget, and resources available for the next phase. The process supports informed decision-making and alignment with project objectives as the work progresses. Question 63. A project manager is reviewing cloud service metrics as part of a mid-project infrastructure assessment. The system dashboard indicates that the virtual environment provisioned through the IaaS provider is operating at 15% of its allocated capacity. Which of the following actions should the project manager take next? The answer is B. Resize the resource utilization to reflect current needs. When a cloud-based system running on an infrastructure as a service model is significantly underutilized, such as only using 15% of provisioned capacity, the most appropriate action is to resize or reduce the allocated resources. This ensures the organization isn't overpaying for unused computing power and aligns resource usage with actual demand. Question 64. A project manager working within a matrix organizational structure notices that assigned team members are unable to commit sufficient time to project activities. Which of the following should the project manager do to improve resource availability? The answer is C. Negotiate with functional managers. In a matrix organizational structure, team members report to both a functional manager who oversees their day-to-day responsibilities and a project manager who oversees project-specific work. Because functional managers control how resources are allocated, the project manager must negotiate with them to secure more time or adjust priorities for shared team members. This collaboration ensures resource availability without overburdening the team or bypassing organizational protocols. Question 65. 3 months into a new project, the team has become more productive, and members are comfortable collaborating and asking one another for help. Which of the following best describes the current stage of the team's development? The answer is D. Norming. This scenario reflects the norming stage of team development, where team members begin working more effectively together, trust begins to form, and collaboration increases. According to the Tuckman model of team development, teams move through 5 stages: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. In the norming phase, productivity improves and team members are more open to communication and support. While they are not yet at peak performance, the team has moved beyond early conflict and confusion and is beginning to operate smoothly. Question 66. Which of the following is the best example of a physical security concern in a project environment? The answer is B. Removable media device. Physical security focuses on protecting the tangible components of an information system, such as hardware, mobile devices, and facilities, from theft, damage, or unauthorized access. One important physical security concern is removable media like USB drives, which can be easily lost, stolen, or used to introduce malware. Other considerations include mobile devices, which often contain sensitive project data and may be taken off-site, and facility access, which involves controlling who can physically enter secure areas. Question 67. A project manager is preparing to launch a complex implementation involving multiple departments. To ensure the work is well organized and that each component of the final product is accounted for, the project manager breaks down the overall deliverables into smaller, manageable units of work. Which of the following tools is the project manager most likely using? The answer is A. WBS. A work breakdown structure, abbreviated as WBS, is a foundational project planning tool used to break down the total scope of a project into clearly defined, manageable units of work. Each level of the WBS decomposes the project deliverables into smaller components until the work can be easily assigned, estimated, and tracked. By organizing the work in this way, the WBS supports better planning, improves accountability, and enhances alignment with the project's overall objectives, especially in large or cross-functional projects where complexity and coordination are key. Question 68. A project manager is overseeing the setup of IT equipment for a new office. The approved project plan includes funding for a specific number of workstations based on current staffing needs. A department head asks the project manager to install a few extra workstations just in case they are needed in the future. What should the project manager do in response to this request? The answer is C. Inform them that a change request is required. Requests that go beyond the original scope or budget, such as setting up additional workstations not included in the plan, must go through the formal change control process. The project manager cannot approve these changes independently, even if resources are available. Requiring a change request ensures transparency, proper evaluation, and documented approval before any scope expansion takes place. Question 69. A newly assigned project manager is leading an initiative to replace critical equipment used in daily operations. Although experienced in project management, the PM is unfamiliar with the industry and learns that regulatory compliance must be maintained throughout the project. What should the project manager do first to ensure the project stays compliant? The answer is C. Research applicable compliance standards and their impact. When managing a project in an unfamiliar industry, the project manager should begin by researching and understanding the relevant compliance standards. This helps ensure the project is planned and executed with full awareness of any legal, safety, or regulatory requirements. Gaining this understanding early reduces the risk of compliance issues and supports informed decisions throughout the project lifecycle. Question 70. Two team members have a minor disagreement about how to complete a shared task. To keep the project on track and maintain a positive team atmosphere, the project manager decides to meet with them and focus on common ground rather than the disagreement. Which of the following conflict resolution techniques is the project manager most likely using? The answer is A. Smoothing. Smoothing is a conflict resolution technique used to minimize differences and highlight points of agreement between team members. It is particularly effective for minor disagreements, where maintaining relationships and team harmony is more important than resolving every detail of the conflict. The project manager uses smoothing to reduce tension, downplay opposing views, and reinforce unity without confronting the disagreement directly. Question 71. During a team meeting, a project manager reminds the team that certain sensitive project details should not be shared outside of the organization. This information includes internal methods, designs, and data that give the company a competitive advantage. Which of the following best describes this type of information? The answer is C. Trade secrets. A trade secret refers to confidential business information, such as processes, formulas, or strategies, that provides an organization with a competitive advantage and is not meant to be disclosed publicly. In project settings, this can include proprietary methods, technical designs, or sensitive operational data. Unlike general intellectual property, trade secrets rely on confidentiality rather than registration for protection, making it essential that team members do not disclose this information outside of authorized channels. Question 72. A project manager is preparing for a project review and needs to assess whether the project has successfully achieved its stated goals. Which of the following would be the most effective tool to evaluate performance against defined objectives? The answer is D. Key performance indicators. Key performance indicators, or KPIs for short, are measurable values that show how well the project is performing against defined objectives. These indicators are tied directly to success criteria and provide clear insight into whether goals related to scope, quality, efficiency, or stakeholder satisfaction have been met. Unlike variance metrics, which highlight differences in time or cost, KPIs are broader and outcome-focused, making them ideal for evaluating overall project success. Question 73. A disagreement between internal team members and a subject matter expert has created confusion over technical requirements. The project manager anticipates that this may cause a delay in delivering a key feature. After gathering facts and reviewing the impact, who should the project manager notify last? The answer is B. End user. When a delivery risk arises, especially due to internal misalignment, the project manager should follow a structured communication path, escalating concerns through internal channels first. This includes informing the project sponsor, steering committee, or program manager, depending on the project's governance. The end user, who is often external or less involved in day-to-day decision-making, should be notified last, after a resolution strategy is in place, to avoid unnecessary concern or confusion. Question 74. A project team is using agile practices to develop a software feature. The team has allocated a fixed 2-week window to complete the feature, regardless of how much functionality they are able to include by the end of the period. Which of the following techniques is the team using? The answer is C. Timeboxing. Timeboxing is a scheduling technique in which a fixed amount of time is allocated to an activity, and the work must be completed within that time frame. It is commonly used in agile methodologies, where tasks such as sprints or iterations are bound to a specific duration. This approach helps improve focus, encourages prioritization, and ensures that progress is made within defined time limits, even if all desired features aren't completed. Question 75. Which of the following methods is commonly used in software development projects to automatically and frequently deliver new code into testing or production environments? The answer is B. CI/CD. The CI/CD process stands for Continuous Integration and Continuous Deployment. It is a DevOps practice used in software development that allows teams to automatically integrate code changes, run tests, and deploy updates in small, frequent iterations. This approach improves software quality, reduces delivery time, and helps detect issues early. Unlike one-time or manual deployments, CI/CD supports a streamlined, repeatable pipeline that accelerates development cycles. Question 76. A project manager is comparing multiple vendor proposals, each with varying levels of risk and potential cost outcomes. To analyze the possible scenarios and determine the expected monetary value of each option, which of the following tools would be most appropriate to use? The answer is A. Decision tree. A decision tree is a visual tool that lays out multiple possible outcomes, probabilities, and associated costs or gains. It is especially useful for calculating expected monetary value, as it allows project managers to evaluate the financial impact of different paths, factoring in both risk and return. This makes it an ideal tool when comparing vendors or options with uncertain results. Question 77. Two projects are sharing some of the same team members. Because of this, the mobile application project cannot begin until the database renewal project has started. Which of the following best describes this type of predecessor-successor relationship? The answer is B. Start to start. A start-to-start relationship means that one task or project cannot start until another one has started. In this case, the mobile application project is dependent on the start of the database renewal project. This type of relationship allows both tasks to proceed in parallel once the initial condition is met. It's commonly used when two efforts need to move forward concurrently, but one depends on the activation of the other. Question 78. While evaluating a project's alignment with ESG factors, a project manager is asked to consider how the initiative reflects the organization's core principles. Which of the following would best support this evaluation? The answer is D. Understanding the company's values. Environmental, social, and governance, or ESG factors, include the project's impact on the local and global environment, awareness of applicable regulations and standards, awareness of the company's vision, mission statements, and values, and the project's potential effect on the company's brand value. In this scenario, the project manager is asked to consider how the project aligns with the organization's core principles. This directly relates to the ESG factor involving awareness of the company's vision, mission statements, and values. Understanding these elements helps ensure that the project supports not only operational goals, but also the organization's ethical and social responsibilities. Question 79. During the initiation phase of a cross-departmental project, the project manager facilitates a session to define who will be responsible for specific deliverables, who needs to be consulted or informed, and what milestones and decisions are expected. Which of the following documents should be used to capture this information? The answer is C. RAM. The Responsibility Assignment Matrix, or RAM, is used during the initiation phase to define and clarify team roles and responsibilities. It ensures that everyone involved in the project understands their assignments and how they interact with others. A common format for an RAM is the RACI model, which identifies who is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed for each task or deliverable. Question 80. During a sprint, a team analyst shares updates on issues encountered since the last work session and outlines the tasks that must be completed by the end of the day. Which of the following meeting formats is the team most likely participating in? The answer is A. Stand-up meeting. A stand-up meeting is a short daily meeting commonly used in agile project environments. Its primary purpose is to promote team alignment and visibility by having each team member briefly share what they completed yesterday, what they plan to do today, and any blockers they are facing. The meeting is intentionally kept brief, often 15 minutes or less, and is typically done while standing to reinforce its focused, quick nature. Stand-ups help teams stay on track, identify issues early, and maintain steady momentum throughout the sprint. Question 81. While reviewing the risk watch list, a project manager notices that the probability of one identified item occurring has increased. As a result, the item now requires more frequent monitoring and attention. Which of the following should the project manager update next? The answer is D. Risk Register. The Risk Register is the primary tool used to track identified risks throughout the project lifecycle. When a risk becomes more likely or its impact changes, the project manager must update the Risk Register to reflect the new probability, response strategies, and monitoring frequency. This ensures that risks remain visible, actively managed, and prioritized appropriately. A watch list is typically a subset of the risk register used to monitor low-priority risks, which may require escalation if their probability or impact increases. Question 82. A software development team is tasked with building a new reporting dashboard. To speed up the development process, the team reuses existing code from a third-party service that provides real-time data feeds. Which of the following IT components enables this type of integration? The answer is B. API. An API, or Application Programming Interface, is a set of tools, definitions, and protocols that enables different software systems to communicate and work together. It allows developers to access specific features or data from another system without needing to understand its internal workings. In this scenario, the team is integrating real-time data feeds by reusing code made available through an API, which simplifies development and speeds up delivery by connecting systems efficiently. Question 83. While drafting the preliminary scope statement, a project manager realizes the current initiative closely resembles a completed project from the previous year. What is the most appropriate action the project manager should take next? The answer is D. Reuse artifacts from the prior project and adjust as needed. When a current project is similar to a past one, the project manager should look to reuse existing project artifacts, such as plans, scope statements, and lessons learned, and adapt them to meet the new project's success criteria. Leveraging these documents streamlines planning, promotes consistency, and helps reduce the risk of overlooking key elements that were already addressed in the prior project. This approach supports more efficient and informed project preparation. Question 84. At the end of a sprint, a developer was unable to finish a story because it was more complex than expected. The team realizes the work was too large to complete in one sprint. What should the Scrum team do next? The answer is B. Split the story into smaller tasks. In Agile, a user story is a small, defined unit of work that describes a feature or requirement from the end user's perspective. Stories should be sized to fit within a single sprint. If a story is too large or complex to complete within the sprint, the team should break it down into smaller, more manageable stories or tasks. This helps ensure future work is better estimated, completed on time, and continuously delivers value. Question 85. During the planning phase, a project manager hosted a meeting to finalize the meeting schedule, including frequency, timing, and the tools the team will use for collaboration. Which of the following documents should capture this information? The answer is A. Project Communication Plan. The Project Communication Plan outlines how information will be shared across the project team and stakeholders. This includes details like meeting frequency, communication methods, and collaboration tools. Establishing this plan during the planning phase ensures all participants are aligned on expectations and reduces the chance of miscommunication throughout the project. Question 86. During project planning, a project manager identifies the risk of minor internet outages that could occasionally interrupt daily work. The team agrees the potential impact is minimal and not worth spending time or money to prevent. Which of the following risk responses is the project team applying? The answer is C. Accept. The accept strategy is used when a negative risk is acknowledged but no action is taken to actively avoid, transfer, or reduce it. This is often appropriate for low-impact or low-probability risks, where the cost of addressing the risk outweighs its potential effect. In this case, the project manager accepts the minor internet outage risk, choosing to proceed without allocating extra resources for contingency. Question 87. A project manager learns that a critical software update required for integration testing may not be released on time by the vendor. To stay on schedule, the project manager arranges for the team to use a compatible third-party tool temporarily to complete testing and avoid delays. Which of the following risk strategies is the project manager using? The answer is A. Mitigate. Mitigation is a negative risk response strategy used to reduce the likelihood or impact of a risk. In this scenario, the project manager proactively reduces the risk of delay by using an alternative solution that allows the team to move forward without waiting on the original vendor. This limits the potential disruption to the project's schedule and is a classic example of risk mitigation. Question 88. Testing is complete and the new system is ready to be deployed to the production environment. Before it can be activated and released to users, which of the following would typically require formal approval from the project sponsor? The answer is B. Deployment plan. The deployment plan outlines how and when a system or deliverable will be released into the production environment. Once testing is complete and the system is production ready, formal approval, often from the project sponsor or key stakeholders, is required to proceed with deployment. This ensures that the organization is aligned on readiness, business impact, and timing. Question 89. At the project kickoff meeting, a stakeholder expresses concern that a task assigned to them does not match their role or area of responsibility. Which of the following is the most likely cause of this issue? The answer is D. The project manager did not assess the stakeholders. Assigning a task to someone outside their responsibility area often indicates that the stakeholder's role and responsibilities were not clearly assessed or documented. As part of project initiation, the project manager should identify all stakeholders, understand their functions, and verify that assignments align with their capabilities. Failing to do so may lead to confusion, misalignment, or resistance during early discussions like the kickoff meeting. Question 90. While planning a new project, a project manager receives confirmation that several new team members from another department will be available to support project activities. Before assigning tasks, what should the project manager do next? The answer is C. Conduct a skills assessment of the resource pool. During the planning phase, one of the project manager's key responsibilities is to assess the resource pool. This means understanding the skills, experience, and availability of the individuals assigned to the project. Conducting a skills assessment ensures that tasks are assigned appropriately and helps prevent performance gaps later in the project. Question 91. Which of the following tools is commonly used as a web-based template system to create and manage websites? The answer is D. CMS. A content management system, or CMS, is a web-based tool used to create, organize, and publish digital content, typically for websites. It often includes pre-built templates and themes, allowing users to build and update websites without needing advanced coding skills. Question 92. After a product is deployed to the production environment, A tester runs a quick check to confirm that the system's core functionality is operating correctly. Which of the following types of testing is being performed? The answer is A. Smoke test. A smoke test is a lightweight, high-level check performed after deployment to ensure that the essential functions of a system are working properly. This test helps determine whether a build is stable enough for further testing or use. Smoke tests are typically performed before more detailed testing begins and are useful after releases to production to catch obvious issues quickly. Question 93. A project manager schedules a session with cross-functional team members to generate multiple ideas for improving a feature in the next product release. The goal is to encourage open discussion and gather as many creative suggestions as possible without judgment. Which of the following meeting types is the project manager facilitating? The answer is B. Brainstorming. A brainstorming session is a type of meeting designed to encourage free-flowing ideas and creative thinking from multiple participants. It is typically used to explore options, solve problems, or generate new approaches, and emphasizes volume and openness over immediate judgment or refinement. This differs from an interview, which is a more structured, one-on-one information-gathering technique, where the focus is on obtaining detailed insights from a specific individual rather than generating a wide range of ideas collaboratively. Question 94. A team member needs to notify a client of a schedule adjustment and attach a formal change request document for review. The message is not urgent and does not require real-time discussion. Which of the following communication tools would be the most appropriate for this situation? The answer is C. Email. Email is a formal, asynchronous communication tool that is ideal for sending messages, official updates, or documents that need to be reviewed and stored. It allows for traceability, attachments, and thoughtful composition, making it well-suited for communicating changes to stakeholders. In contrast, tools like video conferencing are better suited for real-time, informal, or collaborative discussions. Question 95. A project manager is developing a strategy for how project records will be handled during and after the project. Which of the following elements should most likely be included in this plan? The answer is A. Data management and document management. A record storage strategy must include data management, how data is organized, stored, and secured, and document management, how project documents are created, accessed, versioned, and retained. These elements are critical to ensuring compliance, supporting audits, and maintaining knowledge transfer throughout the project lifecycle. Question 96. A project manager is preparing a plan to protect sensitive project data. Which of the following should be reviewed first to ensure proper handling of private information? The answer is B. Identify applicable privacy laws and compliance requirements. When managing project data that may involve sensitive or personal information, the first step is to understand which privacy regulations, legal obligations, and compliance standards apply to the data being collected or stored. This ensures that all security measures, access controls, and handling procedures are aligned with regulatory requirements. While evaluating internal practices and setting up technical controls are important, they should be guided by a clear understanding of the applicable legal framework. Question 97. An IT infrastructure change request has been approved and is scheduled to be introduced into the production environment. Which of the following elements are the most important to have in place before proceeding? The answer is A. Rollback plan and deployment plan. When applying changes to a live production environment, it's essential to have both a deployment plan, how the change will be executed, and a rollback plan, how to safely reverse the change if something goes wrong. Having both of these in place ensures technical readiness, reduces risk, and protects system availability. Question 98. A change request to install a new networking device has been approved by the Change Control Board. The device will be added to a live production environment. Which of the following should the project manager determine first to minimize disruption to operations? The answer is A. Maintenance window. Once a change is approved, especially for a live production environment, the project manager must consider the timing of the implementation. A maintenance window is a scheduled period during which changes can be made with minimal disruption to users or operations. It ensures that proper coordination occurs with IT operations and stakeholders, reducing the risk of business impact. Question 99. A project manager has been organizing and running project meetings, taking minutes, distributing summaries, and sending agendas in advance. Despite these efforts, action items are not being completed. What should the project manager do to address this issue? The answer is C. Assign meeting roles to distribute responsibilities. Effective meeting management depends on clearly defined roles to ensure accountability and engagement. Some common roles include the facilitator, who guides a discussion, keeps the meeting on track, and ensures participation; the scribe, who captures key decisions, action items, and outcomes; and the attendees, who are expected to contribute relevant input and follow through on assigned tasks. In this scenario, the project manager is attempting to handle all of these responsibilities alone, which may lead to reduced accountability and missed follow-through. Question 100. A project sponsor wants to complete a full-featured product and has already gathered well-defined and stable requirements. The sponsor prefers a structured process with clearly outlined phases such as planning, design, implementation, and testing. Which of the following project approaches would be the most appropriate? The answer is D. Waterfall. The waterfall methodology is a linear, sequential project approach where each phase must be completed before moving to the next. It is most effective when requirements are well understood and unlikely to change, as it provides a structured and predictable development cycle. This contrasts with Agile, which is better suited for evolving requirements and iterative development. Question 101. Although a project was successfully released into production a month ago, the project manager continues to receive requests related to the project. Which of the following is the most likely reason for this situation? The answer is C. The project manager did not complete the project closure phase. Even after a successful release, project-related responsibilities will continue if the project closure phase is not formally completed. This phase includes confirming deliverables are accepted, releasing resources, closing out documentation, and clearly communicating that the project has ended. If this step is missed, team members and stakeholders may assume the project is still active, leading to continued requests and confusion about responsibilities. Question 102. During the current sprint, several project team members are unsure about their assigned responsibilities and how to proceed with certain tasks. Which of the following roles would be most appropriate to assist them? The answer is D. Scrum Master. The Scrum Master is responsible for supporting the Agile team by removing obstacles, clarifying processes, and ensuring team members understand their roles and responsibilities within the sprint. If team members are confused about what they should be doing or how to complete their work, the Scrum Master is the best person to guide them. In contrast, the Product Owner focuses on the product backlog and business value, and the Product Manager deals with overall product strategy, not day-to-day team support. Question 103. A software project's risk team chooses to outsource part of the system development to an external vendor because internal resources are not available. Which of the following risk responses does this action represent? The answer is B. Transfer. Transferring a risk involves shifting the responsibility for handling a specific risk to a third party, typically through outsourcing, insurance, or a contractual agreement. In this scenario, outsourcing a portion of the development due to internal limitations means that the risk of delays or quality issues associated with that work is transferred to the external vendor. While the risk doesn't disappear, it becomes the vendor's responsibility to manage it under the terms of the agreement. Question 104. During a design discussion, two developers are unable to agree on how to approach a feature, and the meeting runs over time without resolution. The project manager ends the discussion and postpones it to a future meeting. Which of the following conflict resolution strategies is the project manager using? The answer is B. Avoiding. Avoiding is a conflict resolution technique in which the project manager chooses to delay or sidestep the conflict rather than address it immediately. This approach is often used when tensions are high, time is limited, or additional reflection is needed before continuing the discussion. In this scenario, the PM decides to take a break and resume the conversation later, effectively postponing the resolution of the disagreement. Question 105. A software development team is building a new mobile app. The project plan specifies that all coding must be completed before the testing team can begin their work. What type of task dependency is being used in this schedule? The answer is A. Finish to start. The finish to start relationship is the most common type of task dependency in project management. It means that one task must finish before another task can begin. In this scenario, testing cannot begin until development is fully completed. This is typical in waterfall methodology and helps ensure logical task sequencing. Question 106. A project team is being assembled to work on a confidential software deployment for a government agency. Before granting access to sensitive documentation, the project manager ensures all team members undergo formal evaluations to verify their history, employment records, and criminal background. Which of the following best represents this operational security measure? The answer is A. Background screening. Background screening is a vital part of operational security that helps ensure individuals are trustworthy before granting them access to sensitive project resources or environments. It typically involves checking employment history, education, references, and any criminal record. In many secure or government-regulated projects, background screening is directly tied to meeting clearance requirements, which are necessary for handling classified or high-risk information. Question 107. The Scrum team on a tech project has been tracking its performance using the following velocity chart. Based on the chart, what should the Scrum Master report to senior management? The answer is D. Project is ahead of schedule. A velocity chart is a visual tool used in agile project management to track how quickly a team is completing work, typically measured in story points or features per sprint. It helps forecast future delivery and identify whether the team is staying on pace. In this chart, the planned timeline in green represents how many features are expected to remain at each point in the project, while the actual effort in purple shows the real number of features left to be completed. Reading a velocity chart requires comparing these two lines. In this case, the actual effort line falls below the planned timeline, meaning the team has fewer remaining features than expected at this point in time. That indicates the team is working faster than planned and are therefore ahead of schedule. This is a positive outcome, and it may allow for early delivery, scope adjustment, or resource reallocation. Question 108. A project manager is facilitating structured sessions where small groups of users discuss their experiences and expectations for a new wearable device. The teams share qualitative feedback that will influence the final design before the product goes to manufacturing. Which of the following techniques is the project manager using? The answer is D. Focus group. A focus group is a qualitative technique used to gather feedback and insights from a select group of participants, typically to influence product or project outcomes. In this scenario, small teams are providing opinions that may shape the final product, which fits the purpose of a focus group. This method helps gather user-centered insights and is commonly used in product development before mass production. Question 109. During an online brainstorming session, several participants privately messaged the facilitator that they're having trouble understanding others due to strong accents and background noise. What should the facilitator do? The answer is C. Use chat in plain speech. When communication issues arise due to language barriers or audio challenges in a virtual session, the best solution is to encourage the use of the chat feature and speak using plain, clear language. This improves accessibility for all participants and helps overcome differences in accents or audio quality. It's a common and effective approach in remote collaboration to ensure inclusivity and shared understanding. Question 110. A project manager has outsourced the installation of specialized lab equipment for a healthcare facility. The vendor has committed to completing setup and configuration across 5 clinics in 4 weeks. Which of the following should the project manager do? The answer is B. Approve the deliverables and monitor vendor performance. Even when work is outsourced to an external vendor, the project manager retains overall responsibility for the successful delivery of that portion of the project. This means the project manager must still approve the deliverables by reviewing them against the agreed-upon criteria defined in the contract or statement of work. In addition, the project manager must monitor the vendor's performance throughout the engagement to ensure that progress aligns with the project schedule, scope, and quality expectations. Question 111. A project team is using a web-based customer relationship management tool that is fully managed by the vendor, including updates, maintenance, and hosting. Users can access the application through a browser without needing to install or manage the underlying infrastructure. Which of the following cloud models is being used? The answer is A. Software as a service. Software as a service, or SaaS for short, delivers fully functional applications over the Internet. The provider handles all aspects of the solution, including infrastructure, platform, and software updates. In this scenario, the project team uses a web-based CRM tool without managing the underlying systems, which is a clear example of SaaS. This model is ideal for reducing overhead and providing scalable, user-ready applications. Question 112. While reviewing interdependencies across several IT projects, a program manager learns in a status meeting that a critical interface component from a separate team will not be delivered on time. What should the program manager do first? The answer is C. Get details from project owner. Before taking any corrective action, the first thing a program manager should do upon learning about a delay is to gather accurate details from the responsible project owner. This allows for proper assessment of the issue's scope, potential impact, and available options. Acting without a clear understanding, such as activating a contingency plan or adjusting the schedule, may lead to unnecessary or ineffective decisions. Gathering information is the appropriate starting point for effective issue and risk management. Question 113. The provided project network diagram shows the tasks for an upcoming project. Each box represents a single task, and the number inside each box indicates the task's duration in days. Based on this information, which of the following would be the critical path? The answer is C. ABDILM. The critical path is the sequence of tasks in a project with the longest total duration and is used to determine the shortest possible time in which the project can be completed. Any delay in this path will directly delay the entire project. To find it, we add up the durations of each possible path from start to finish. The path, A to B to D to I to L to M, totals 50 days. making it the longest path in the project network diagram. Since all other paths are shorter than ABDILM, it is designated as the critical path. This means the project manager must monitor every activity on that path closely, because any slip or delay will affect the final project deadline. Question 114. During a project, a vendor technician attempted to access the internal team's shared documentation platform, which is restricted to company employees. Which of the following actions should the project manager take? The answer is D. Reinforce the rules of engagement. When a vendor oversteps boundaries, such as attempting to access platforms reserved for internal use, the project manager should respond by reinforcing the rules of engagement. These rules define expected behavior, access permissions, and communication protocols between the project team and external contractors. Clarifying these expectations helps maintain professional boundaries, prevents future misunderstandings, and protects internal systems and data. Question 115. While planning the launch of a new HR system, a project team is organizing user training sessions, selecting a go-live date, and outlining how responsibilities will be handed over from the project team to the operations department. Which of the following is the team most likely developing? The answer is C. A transition plan. The team is developing a transition plan, which is created during the planning phase to prepare for the move from project work to operational use. It includes operational training, setting a go-live date, and organizing the operational handoff. A complete transition plan also accounts for both internal and external audiences to ensure the new system is fully supported after deployment. Question 116. A software project has come to a halt because a development tool license unexpectedly expired, preventing the team from pushing updates. Which of the following should the project manager do next? The answer is D. Assess how this impacts the project. When an issue disrupts project progress, the first step is to assess its severity and impact on the project's scope, schedule, and deliverables. This helps the project manager determine the urgency, explore potential solutions, and decide whether escalation is necessary. Taking action without first understanding the full impact can lead to unnecessary costs or project delays. Assessing severity, urgency, and overall project impact is a core part of effective issue management. Question 117. A project manager needs to track departmental budgets and manage expense approvals across multiple teams. Which of the following systems is best suited for this purpose? The answer is C. Financial system. A financial system is designed to manage key financial activities such as budget tracking, expense approvals, invoicing, and financial reporting. In a project environment, this type of system helps project managers monitor costs across multiple teams and ensure budget compliance. Financial systems are essential for supporting accurate forecasting and overall project cost control. Question 118. A project manager is researching budgeting strategies that require each cost to be approved individually rather than using previous spending patterns. Which of the following approaches best fits this description? The answer is D. Start from zero and justify each cost. This approach describes zero-based budgeting, a method where no expenses are pre-approved based on historical data. Instead, each cost must be justified and approved from the ground up. It's especially useful for identifying unnecessary expenses and ensuring that all project spending aligns directly with current priorities and objectives. This strategy promotes tighter financial control and accountability in project planning. Question 119. A project using the waterfall methodology has reached the closing phase. Which of the following activities would most likely be performed during this phase? The answer is B. Validating the deliverables. In the closing phase of a waterfall project, the team focuses on ensuring that all work has been completed and that the final outputs meet the original requirements. This process is known as validating the deliverables. It confirms that the project objectives have been met and that the deliverables are ready for acceptance and operational handoff. This activity helps formally close the project and paves the way for final sign-off. Question 120. During the planning phase of a government-funded infrastructure project, the legal department advised halting the initiative due to recently enacted zoning laws that the project would violate. Which of the following ESG considerations was most likely applied? The answer is A. Project impact to the local environment. Project impact to the local environment refers to how a project may affect physical surroundings, land use, communities, or ecosystems in the immediate area. In this scenario, the project's violation of local zoning laws led to its rejection, demonstrating that the project would have a negative local impact. This is different from simply being aware of the law. It emphasizes the actual consequences the project could have on the environment or community, which zoning laws are designed to prevent. Question 121. A new project involves two developers, high uncertainty, frequent requirement changes, and tight deadlines. Which project methodology would be best for this situation? The answer is C. XP. Extreme programming, abbreviated as XP, is best suited for small development teams and excels in environments with high uncertainty and rapidly changing requirements. It emphasizes rapid releases, continuous feedback, and engineering practices such as test-driven development and pair programming. XP is ideal when deadlines are tight and adaptability is crucial. Question 122. A project has successfully completed all its deliverables and is now wrapping up remaining documentation and releasing team members to their respective departments. Which stage of the team development lifecycle is the team most likely in? The answer is D. Adjourning. Adjourning is the final stage of the team development lifecycle, where the project is wrapping up, tasks are completed, and team members are released or reassigned. The full life cycle includes 5 stages. In order: forming, the team comes together and gets oriented. Storming, conflicts and competition may arise. Norming, the team begins to collaborate effectively. Performing, the team functions at a high level. And finally, adjourning, where the focus shifts to closure and recognizing the team's accomplishments. Question 123. Because the project team is unfamiliar with available vendor capabilities and solutions, the project manager has decided to gather general information from potential third-party providers. Which of the following documents should the project manager expedite first? The answer is A. RFI. A request for information, or RFI, is used to gather broad details about products, services, or vendor capabilities before issuing more specific procurement documents. It's typically the first step when a project team lacks familiarity with available solutions or providers and needs to explore options. Question 124. A company has already defined the technical specifications for upgrading the lighting system in its warehouse and now wants to obtain pricing details from multiple vendors to compare costs. Which of the following would be the best document to use in this situation? The answer is B. RFQ. A request for quote, or RFQ, is appropriate when a company has clearly defined what it needs and is primarily looking for cost comparisons from vendors. Since the specifications for the warehouse lighting upgrade are already finalized, an RFQ allows vendors to submit prices for the exact scope of work. This makes it easier to compare offers and select the most cost-effective provider. This differs slightly from a request for bid, which is often used in formal or public bidding environments. Question 125. A company has a specific business need and wants vendors to submit detailed information on how they would fulfill the requirements, including their approach, timeline, and cost. Which of the following documents should the company provide? The answer is C. RFP. A request for proposal, or RFP, is the appropriate document when a company has a clear understanding of its needs but wants vendors to provide detailed responses on how they will fulfill those needs. This includes the vendor's approach, timeline, required resources, and pricing. RFPs are used when the solution is not predetermined and the organization is evaluating multiple aspects of the vendor's capabilities, not just cost. This makes RFPs ideal for complex projects that require customized services or solutions. Question 126. A project manager removes a feature from the project scope after discovering it would require integrating with an unstable third-party API, which could cause delays and data errors. Which of the following risk management strategies is the manager using? The answer is B. Avoid. Risk avoidance is a strategy where the project manager changes the project plan specifically to remove exposure to the risk altogether. In this scenario, the manager prevents any chance of the third-party API causing issues by excluding the feature that depends on it. Unlike mitigation, which reduces the likelihood or impact of a risk, avoidance ensures the risk never becomes a factor in the project. Question 127. A project team is tasked with consolidating data into a new platform after a corporate merger. Before finalizing deployment, they run simulations to ensure the system can handle high user load and large data volume without performance degradation. Which of the following types of testing did the team perform? The answer is C. Stress testing. Stress testing evaluates how a system performs under extreme or unexpected load conditions, such as large data volume or high user activity. In this scenario, the team is validating that system performance will not degrade after a major data migration, which is exactly the purpose of stress testing. This ensures the system remains stable and responsive even under strain. Question 128. A project manager is reviewing the project scope and performing a preliminary procurement needs assessment to determine which components may require external sourcing. Which of the following project phases includes this activity? The answer is B. Planning. A preliminary procurement needs assessment is part of the planning phase, where the project manager evaluates whether any products, services, or resources must be obtained from outside the organization. This assessment helps define vendor requirements early in the project lifecycle and ensures that procurement activities are integrated into the project schedule, budget, and risk plans. Question 129. Midway through a software rollout, a project manager compares the current development progress against the original scope to identify missing features and misaligned deliverables. Which of the following is the project manager performing? The answer is C. Gap analysis. A gap analysis is used during project execution to compare actual project performance against planned deliverables or expectations. It helps identify what is missing, incomplete, or out of alignment with the project scope. In this scenario, the project manager is assessing where the current progress falls short, which allows corrective action to be taken before final delivery. Question 130. During the initiation phase of a project, a manager identifies several stakeholders who will benefit from the new system and a few who may face workflow disruptions. What should the project manager do to ensure all relevant stakeholders are addressed appropriately? The answer is C. Include all affected stakeholders in project documentation. Effective stakeholder management begins with identifying and documenting all individuals and groups affected by the project, whether the impact is positive or negative. This ensures that communication, engagement, and expectations are managed appropriately for everyone involved. Ignoring certain stakeholders, especially early on, can lead to resistance, misalignment, or lack of support later in the project. Question 131. A project sponsor requests a system that can provide centralized management of the organization's core operations, including finance, human resources, supply chain, and inventory. Which of the following systems is the sponsor describing? The answer is D. ERP. An enterprise resource planning or ERP system is used to manage and integrate the core functions of a business, such as finance, HR, procurement, and inventory, into one cohesive platform. ERP systems improve efficiency by allowing departments to share data and operate from a unified system. In this scenario, the sponsor's request for an integrated system across all business functions is a clear reference to an ERP solution. Question 132. A project manager is analyzing a known risk by assigning numerical values to estimate its cost and potential impact on the overall budget. Which of the following techniques is the project manager using? The answer is A. Quantitative risk analysis. Quantitative risk analysis involves using numerical methods, such as monetary amounts, probabilities, or statistical modeling, to evaluate the potential effect of identified risks on project objectives. In this scenario, the project manager is applying numerical values to determine financial impact, which is a key indicator that quantitative rather than qualitative techniques are being used. Question 133. Which of the following concepts refers to a centralized system where data from multiple sources is integrated to enable report generation and business analysis? The answer is B. Data warehouse. A data warehouse is a centralized repository designed to store, integrate, and manage large volumes of data from multiple sources. It enables complex querying and reporting, supporting data analysis and decision-making across the organization. Unlike simple file storage or document management tools, a data warehouse is specifically built for structured data aggregation and business intelligence functions. Question 134. Before closing out a software development project, the team invites select end users to test the system in a real-world scenario to ensure it meets business needs. Which of the following types of testing is being performed? The answer is D. User acceptance testing. User acceptance testing is performed by the end users to validate that the system meets business and functional requirements. It typically occurs near the end of the project, before the system is formally accepted or released. User acceptance testing ensures that the product not only works technically, but also aligns with user expectations and real-world use cases. Question 135. A project manager maintains detailed documentation of schedules, changes, and deliverables throughout the project. What is the primary reason for creating these artifacts? The answer is B. Future reference. The primary reason for documenting project artifacts is to create a historical record that can be referenced during and after the project. This supports transparency, lessons learned, audits, and continuous improvement. While artifacts may also support communication and reporting, their core purpose is to preserve project history and outcomes for future use. Question 136. A project manager is reviewing reports on actual expenditures and task progress. After identifying discrepancies, the manager updates both the budget and the timeline to keep the project on track. In which of the following phases does this occur? The answer is C. Execution. Updating the budget and timeline based on real-time performance happens during the execution phase of a project. This is when the actual work is carried out, progress is tracked, and necessary adjustments are made. As issues arise or progress deviates from the original plan, project managers continually revise the schedule and budget to reflect current conditions. These updates help ensure the project stays on track and aligned with its overall objectives. Question 137. While developing a remote access policy for a new internal system, a project manager ensures that users are granted only the minimum permissions required to perform their jobs. Which of the following best describes this type of security measure? The answer is C. Digital security. Digital security involves protecting access to systems, data, and applications through technical controls. In this scenario, the project manager enforces resource access and permissions by granting users only what they need to perform their roles. Because the policy involves access from outside the network, it also relates to remote access restrictions. While not part of this scenario, multi-factor authentication is another key digital security measure often used to strengthen identity verification. Question 138. The following metrics are gathered midway through a project. SPI equals 0.80 and CPI equals 1.10. Based on this performance data, what can the project manager conclude about the current state of the project? The answer is A. The project is behind schedule and under budget. SPI and CPI are key performance metrics that help project managers assess how a project is progressing in terms of schedule and cost. The Schedule Performance Index, or SPI, measures how efficiently the team is meeting the planned schedule. An SPI below 1.0 indicates the project is behind schedule, while an SPI above 1.0 indicates the project is ahead of schedule. The Cost Performance Index, or CPI, measures cost efficiency. A CPI below 1.0 means the project is over budget, while a CPI above 1.0 indicates the project is under budget. Together, these metrics provide a quick snapshot of project health. Question 139. During a meeting, two team leads argue about which approach to use for a system upgrade. The project manager overrides both opinions and mandates the solution without further discussion. Which conflict resolution method is being used? The answer is C. Forcing? Forcing is a conflict resolution strategy where the project manager or leader imposes a decision without team input, often to meet deadlines or resolve issues quickly. It prioritizes immediate resolution over consensus. In this case, the project manager ends the debate by unilaterally deciding the outcome, an approach that defines the forcing style of conflict management. Question 140. Two developers on a project disagree on how to use the remaining 3 days of a sprint. One wants to focus on finalizing a new feature, while the other wants to spend the time fixing bugs in existing code. After discussion, they agree to split the time, allocating 1.5 days to each task. Which conflict resolution technique was used? The answer is B. Compromise. Compromise involves each party giving up part of their desired outcome to reach an agreement. In this case, both developers adjust their expectations and agree to share the time equally. This is different from collaboration, where the parties would work together to find a creative solution that fully satisfies both goals without either side having to concede. While compromise helps move the project forward quickly, it may not fully resolve the underlying disagreement or meet all objectives. Question 141. Which of the following communication tools would be the best means of presenting materials to and allowing interactive feedback from a project team in real time? The answer is D. Video conference. A video conference is the most effective communication tool for real-time presentations and interactive feedback. It allows team members to engage using voice, video, screen sharing, and live chat, enabling richer communication than text-based tools alone. This format supports visual demonstrations, immediate questions and answers, and nonverbal cues like facial expressions and tone, which are essential for team understanding and alignment. Question 142. A company is developing a confidential prototype and wants to reduce the risk of project details being exposed through third-party platforms. To manage scheduling and resources securely and efficiently, which of the following would best support this concern? The answer is B. Host the project management scheduling tool on premises. Hosting the project management scheduling tool on premises provides more direct control over system access, data storage, and internal security policies. This setup reduces reliance on third-party services and is ideal for confidential projects where data sensitivity and internal oversight are top priorities. Compared to cloud-based tools, on-premises solutions allow the organization to manage risk by maintaining all project data within its own secure infrastructure. Question 143. A project involves contributors from multiple time zones, and the project manager wants to maintain consistent productivity as work moves between regions. Which of the following should be established during project planning to support this goal? The answer is C. Develop a global handoff process. In global projects, a handoff process helps ensure that work can transition smoothly between team members in different time zones. This strategy reduces delays, prevents miscommunication, and supports continuous progress across varied working hours. Establishing this process during the planning phase helps maintain day-to-day performance across geographically distributed teams. Question 144. A project manager is overseeing a new application development project and is following a structured approach that includes phases such as requirements gathering, design, coding, testing, and deployment. Which of the following frameworks is the project manager using? The answer is C. SDLC. The Software Development Lifecycle, SDLC, is a structured framework used to guide software development through clearly defined phases such as requirements gathering, design, development, testing, deployment, and maintenance. It is commonly used in traditional and hybrid project environments where a linear or phased approach is needed to ensure systematic delivery. Question 145. Project team members are located in 3 different countries and all work remotely. Which of the following would best help the project manager improve internal communication across the team? The answer is A. Team touchpoints. Team touchpoints are regular check-ins or status updates that help team members stay informed, raise concerns, and remain engaged throughout the project. These touchpoints can take the form of brief stand-up meetings, recurring video calls, one-on-one check-ins, or asynchronous status updates. In a remote, globally dispersed project, touchpoints are especially important for maintaining consistent communication, clarifying responsibilities, and fostering a strong sense of team connection and collaboration. Question 146. A stakeholder made an unscheduled phone call to the project manager to request a quick status update. Which of the following best describes this type of communication? The answer is B. Informal and verbal. Communication in project management can be categorized as written or verbal. Written communication includes emails, reports, and documentation, while verbal communication involves spoken exchanges like meetings or phone calls. Communication can also be formal or informal. Formal communication follows structured formats such as official presentations, contracts, or documented meeting minutes. Informal communication, on the other hand, is casual, unrecorded, and often spontaneous, such as an impromptu phone call. Question 147. What is a key benefit of collecting feedback from stakeholders during the closing phase of a project? The answer is A. It helps guide a lessons learned discussion. Collecting feedback from stakeholders during the closing phase allows the project manager to gain insight into the overall effectiveness of the project from the stakeholder perspective. This feedback helps identify what went well, what didn't, and why, providing a solid foundation for a structured lessons learned discussion. By incorporating stakeholder input, the team can make more meaningful process improvements and ensure that future projects better align with expectations and needs. Question 148. A project team shipped hardware to multiple global testing sites for validation. 2 sites confirmed delivery, but one region experienced significant shipping delays that impacted the scheduled product announcement. Customers and partners began raising concerns online about the company's ability to meet delivery commitments. Which of the following ESG factors is the team most likely encountering? The answer is C. Project impact to company brand value. In this scenario, the delayed hardware delivery resulted in public concern and negative perception about the company's ability to meet its commitments. This affects external reputation and credibility, which are directly tied to brand value. When stakeholder trust is at risk due to missed timelines or visibility issues, it reflects an impact on the company's brand, making this a clear example of an ESG-related concern tied to brand value. Question 149. A cross-functional project team is spread across multiple locations and needs to collaborate on the project plan simultaneously. The project manager wants a solution that allows everyone to view and edit the document in real time without emailing updated versions back and forth. Which of the following would be the best approach? The answer is C. Access the file through a file-sharing platform. File-sharing platforms are collaborative tools that allow multiple users to access, edit, and share documents in real time from different locations. These systems help teams work more efficiently by enabling simultaneous updates and maintaining version control, so everyone is working from the latest version of a file. This minimizes the risk of miscommunication, duplicate work, and outdated information. File-sharing platforms are especially valuable in modern project environments where remote collaboration and fast-paced updates are common. Question 150. A project manager is preparing a proposal that includes the cost of purchasing new hardware to support a major software deployment. The purchase is a one-time fixed cost that will provide value over several years. Which of the following best describes this type of expense? The answer is C. Capital expense. A capital expense refers to a one-time cost associated with acquiring or upgrading physical assets, such as hardware, buildings, or equipment that provide long-term value to the organization. These expenses are typically recorded as assets and depreciated over time. In contrast, operational expenses are ongoing costs required for daily operations like subscriptions or utility bills. Question 151. A client-facing application that is currently live and in daily use is being prepared for an upcoming maintenance. Which of the following environments currently hosts this live version of the application? The answer is B. Production. The production environment is where a live application is deployed for real-time use by end users or clients. It reflects the final version of the system and is considered the most stable and critical environment. Since the application in the scenario is live, client-facing, and in daily use, it clearly resides in production, and maintenance updates would be planned carefully to minimize any disruption. Question 152. A project manager distributes meeting minutes after each project meeting, but is struggling to lead discussions and document key points at the same time. What should the project manager do to improve efficiency? The answer is A. Assign a scribe to take notes. In project meetings, assigning a scribe allows the project manager to focus on leading and facilitating the discussion, while another team member captures key decisions, action items, and discussion points. This division of roles increases meeting efficiency and ensures accurate documentation. Trying to do both tasks alone can lead to missed information and reduce overall effectiveness. Question 153. To minimize initial software costs and allow flexibility in user access, a project manager is exploring licensing options. Since the number of users who will need the application is still unknown, which of the following procurement methods would be the most appropriate? The answer is B. Subscription. A subscription model, often referred to as pay-as-you-go, allows a project manager to reduce upfront costs by paying for software based on actual usage over time. This is especially beneficial when the number of users is unknown or may change throughout the project. The flexibility to scale licenses up or down helps control expenses and maximize cost efficiency, making it the most appropriate procurement method in this scenario. Question 154. A project manager needs access to specialized equipment for 6 months during system installation and testing. Purchasing the equipment would exceed the project's budget, and the company will not need the hardware after the project ends. Which of the following procurement methods would best meet the project's needs? The answer is C. Leasing is a practical procurement option when a project requires temporary access to hardware, such as servers or specialized equipment, without committing to full ownership. It's especially useful when the resource is only needed for a limited period, as in this scenario. Buying, by contrast, involves a higher upfront cost and may leave the organization with unused assets after the project ends. While software is typically acquired through subscriptions or licenses, leasing is more commonly associated with hardware assets. Question 155. During system testing for a healthcare application, the project team selected a sample of patient records that included names, treatment history, and insurance information. The data was masked to maintain privacy. What type of data is being handled in this scenario? The answer is B. PHI. Protected health information, abbreviated PHI, refers to any individually identifiable health data, such as patient names, medical history, and insurance details, that is handled by healthcare organizations or systems. In this scenario, the sample records contain sensitive health details, making them PHI. To safeguard this information and comply with regulations like the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or HIPAA, it is standard practice to mask or de-identify the data during testing and development activities. Question 156. A project team discovered a 2-week delay in one task due to a supplier issue. The rest of the project schedule remains unaffected. The project manager adjusts the affected task's deadline to reflect the new delivery date without changing the overall project timeline. What action did the project manager take? The answer is C. Revise the baseline. Revising the baseline involves making minor adjustments to the project schedule or cost plan to reflect localized changes, such as a delay in one task or a change in resource allocation. This does not alter the original project scope or final delivery date. In contrast, a re-baseline involves resetting the entire baseline, schedule, cost, or scope, typically due to major changes that significantly impact project objectives. Since only one task was affected here, a baseline revision is sufficient. Question 157. Which of the following best shows that a project manager is considering regulations and standards during project planning? The answer is D. Submitting architectural plans for regulatory approval. Submitting architectural plans for regulatory approval shows that the project manager is accounting for legal and compliance requirements tied to local building codes or industry standards. This action helps ensure the project aligns with regulatory expectations before work begins, reducing the risk of legal issues, rework, or delays. Question 158. A project team currently updates its sprint schedule after each iteration. To create a more consistent structure for managing recurring tasks and deliverables, what should the team establish? The answer is B. Cadence. A cadence refers to the established rhythm or recurring schedule for activities such as sprints, reviews, or task delivery. By defining a predictable cadence, teams can create consistency across project iterations, improve planning, and streamline workflows. This is especially helpful in agile or iterative environments where regular cycles help maintain team momentum and stakeholder expectations. Question 159. Which of the following best describes a key benefit of reviewing artifacts during the early concept or discovery phase of a project? The answer is B. To facilitate selection of a pre-qualified vendor. One key benefit of reviewing artifacts early in the project lifecycle is that it helps the project team identify pre-qualified vendors. These are suppliers who have already met certain standards or criteria set by the organization. Artifacts like vendor history reports, procurement guidelines, or past evaluations can guide this process. Using pre-qualified vendors saves time, reduces risk, and increases confidence by ensuring only trusted suppliers are considered during vendor selection. Question 160. During a planning session, a distributed project team needs to map out workflows, draw diagrams, and organize ideas in real time. Which of the following tools would best support this type of collaboration? The answer is A. Whiteboard. A whiteboard is a collaborative tool used to visually brainstorm ideas, draw diagrams, and organize concepts in real time. It provides a flexible space for teams to interact creatively, whether they're working in person or remotely. This makes it especially valuable during the planning phase, where visualizing workflows and gathering input from multiple team members helps align understanding and improve decision-making. Question 161. A project team is analyzing test results from two different stages of a manufacturing process. They plot data points on a chart to observe whether increases in one variable correspond with increases or decreases in the other. Which of the following tools are they using? The answer is B. Scatter diagram. A scatter diagram is an analysis tool used to visually identify relationships between two variables. By plotting data points on a horizontal and vertical axis, teams can detect patterns, such as correlation or lack thereof, between inputs and outputs. In this case, plotting results from two process stages helps the team determine if one variable may be influencing the other, which can guide quality improvement decisions. Question 162. Which of the following contract types typically carries the highest level of financial risk for the buyer? The answer is B. Cost plus. In a cost-plus contract, the buyer agrees to pay for all project costs plus an additional fee or percentage as profit for the seller. This structure creates greater risk for the buyer because final costs are uncertain and can grow beyond the initial estimate, especially if the scope or complexity increases. In contrast, fixed-price contracts limit buyer risk by locking in total cost, while time and material and unit price models provide more visibility into cost drivers. Question 163. A project manager is working with a vendor to deliver a service for a clearly defined scope with firm deadlines. The vendor agrees to complete the work for a set amount, regardless of actual costs incurred. Which type of contract is the project manager using? The answer is D. Fixed price. A fixed-price contract specifies a set amount the buyer will pay the vendor to complete the agreed-upon work. This model is most appropriate when the scope and deliverables are well-defined, and it minimizes cost risk for the buyer. The vendor assumes the risk of cost overruns, but benefits from clear expectations and payment terms. Question 164. A construction project involves purchasing materials in varying quantities throughout the duration of the job. The vendor provides a set cost per item, and the total contract value depends on how much is actually used. Which type of contract is being used? The answer is D. Unit price. A unit price contract sets a predefined cost per unit, such as per item or per hour, and the total cost is based on actual quantities used. This is ideal when quantities may vary, but pricing per unit is stable and agreed in advance. It offers flexibility for both the buyer and seller while keeping pricing transparent for each unit of work or material delivered. Question 165. While working on a project involving sensitive customer information, the project manager ensures that all data is labeled, stored, and accessed according to its level of confidentiality. Which of the following concepts does this action best represent? The answer is A. Data security. Data security is the practice of protecting information throughout its lifecycle by applying safeguards based on its sensitivity. A key part of this process is data classification, which involves labeling data, for example, public, internal, confidential, or restricted, so it can be protected appropriately. This helps project teams apply the right access controls, encryption, and storage methods to reduce the risk of unauthorized access or data breaches. Question 166. A new project is being initiated, and the project manager needs to define how success will be measured in the project charter. Which of the following individuals should the project manager collaborate with to define the success criteria? The answer is B. Project sponsor. The project sponsor plays a key role during the project initiation phase by helping define the success criteria that will be included in the project charter. These criteria outline what a completed and successful project looks like from a business perspective. The sponsor also ensures the project aligns with organizational goals, provides funding, and supports the project at a strategic level. Question 167. A project manager is performing a type of risk analysis that uses non-numerical methods to evaluate the probability, impact, detectability, and interconnectivity of risks in order to prioritize them. Which of the following describes this approach? The answer is C. Qualitative risk analysis. Qualitative risk analysis involves assessing risks based on subjective judgment of their likelihood, impact, detectability, and how they relate to other risks. Rather than using statistical models or financial metrics, this approach relies on team expertise and stakeholder input to determine which risks are most critical. It helps prioritize risk based on perceived severity and potential influence on the project, guiding further planning and response efforts. Question 168. A client submits a change request that will delay the project and exceed the approved budget. Which of the following should the project manager do first? The answer is A. Escalate to the CCB. When a change request impacts the project's schedule, cost, or scope, the project manager should first escalate it to the Change Control Board, or CCB, for review and approval. The CCB evaluates the potential risks, benefits, and trade-offs before deciding whether to approve, reject, or modify the change. Skipping this step can result in unauthorized changes that lead to misalignment with project goals or stakeholder expectations. Question 169. A project manager is beginning a new Agile project that includes a large number of complex deliverables. Which of the following is the best tool to track and organize deliverables that have not yet been completed? The answer is D. Backlog. In Agile project management, a backlog is used to track, organize, and prioritize incomplete work items or deliverables. It serves as a central list of all user stories, tasks, or features that the team will work on during future iterations or sprints. Using a backlog helps the team manage changing priorities, supports transparency, and enables effective sprint planning, especially in projects with a high volume of complex deliverables. Question 170. Which of the following tools should a project manager use to assess the activities completed, effort applied, and overall productivity of the project team. The answer is B. Project Evaluation Review. A project evaluation review is conducted to assess the project team's work performance, including the activities performed, the effort applied, and the productivity achieved. It typically occurs at key milestones or project closure and helps identify what went well, what could be improved, and how similar future projects might be better managed. This differs slightly from a status report, which provides a snapshot of current progress rather than evaluating overall performance. Question 171. Which of the following is a characteristic that defines a project? The answer is D. Has a defined start and finish. A project is defined as a temporary effort with a defined start and finish, which is what distinguishes it from ongoing operations. It exists to achieve a unique outcome, whether it's a product, service, or result, and is initiated for a specific reason or purpose, such as fulfilling a business goal or solving a particular problem. These three characteristics, defined start and finish, uniqueness, and purpose-driven intent, are what make a project distinct in the field of project management. Question 172. A project team is focused on improving collaboration between developers and operations to automate deployment, streamline updates, and reduce time to market. Which of the following frameworks is the team using? The answer is C. DevOps. DevOps is a framework that promotes collaboration between development and operations teams to increase efficiency, automate deployment, and deliver software faster and more reliably. It emphasizes continuous integration, continuous delivery, and shared responsibility across teams. In addition to DevOps, we have DevSecOps, which builds on DevOps by embedding security practices into every phase of the development and operations lifecycle, ensuring that security is treated as a shared responsibility from the start. Question 173. A project team uses a visual task board to manage workflow. Tasks are moved across columns like To Do, In Progress, and Done, and the team limits how many tasks can be in progress at once to improve efficiency. Which of the following methodologies is the team using? The answer is D. Kanban. Kanban is a visual workflow management method used to track tasks as they move through defined stages of completion. It emphasizes transparency, flow efficiency, and limiting work in progress to avoid bottlenecks and improve productivity. Unlike Scrum, which uses fixed-length sprints, Kanban is continuous and flexible, allowing teams to pull in new work as capacity allows. Question 174. A company requires a project framework that emphasizes defined roles, detailed planning, structured stages, and formal documentation throughout the project lifecycle. Which of the following methodologies best meets these requirements? The answer is C. Prince2. Prince2 is a structured project management methodology that focuses on well-defined roles, detailed documentation, and control across stages. It is highly process-oriented and is often used in large organizations or government projects that require formal oversight and governance. Unlike Agile methodologies, which prioritize adaptability and iteration, Prince2 emphasizes predictability, control, and accountability through clearly outlined processes and reporting requirements. Question 175. During which phase of the project is the quality assurance plan typically developed? The answer is B. Planning. The quality assurance or QA plan is developed during the planning phase of a project. This plan outlines the standards, processes, and activities that will be used to ensure the project's deliverables meet quality requirements. By defining QA early, the project team can integrate quality into the schedule, resource planning, and risk mitigation strategies, helping to prevent defects rather than just detecting them later. Question 176. In the change control process, after a project change has been approved and implemented, which of the following should the project manager do next? The answer is B. Validate the change implementation. After a change has been implemented, the next step in the change control process is to validate the change implementation. This ensures the change was applied correctly, is functioning as intended, and did not introduce new issues. Validation confirms that the change achieved its intended outcome and helps maintain quality and alignment with project goals before the team proceeds with further work. Question 177. Project stakeholders request that the team follow Scrum practices during a software rollout. Which of the following activities would most likely occur during a daily team stand-up? The answer is A. Reviewing project blockers. In Scrum, the daily stand-up is a short meeting where team members share progress, upcoming work, and any obstacles or blockers preventing forward movement. This helps the team stay aligned and quickly identify and resolve issues. It is not the time for high-level planning or budgeting, but for quick status sharing and coordination within the team. Question 178. In an IT project, which of the following best describes the purpose of using a staging environment? The answer is D. To validate changes before they are deployed to production. A staging environment is a pre-production environment that closely mirrors the live production environment. It is used to test, validate, and troubleshoot software changes or updates before releasing them to end users. This step helps catch issues that might not appear in development or QA environments and ensures a smoother, safer deployment process by simulating real-world conditions. Question 179. A project manager is overseeing a new system rollout for a healthcare organization that handles sensitive personal data. To ensure that employees protect personally identifiable information, which of the following is the best method to keep the data confidential? The answer is B. Multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication, abbreviated as MFA, enhances security by requiring users to verify their identity using more than one method, typically a combination of something they know, like a password, something they have, like a smartphone, or something they are, like a fingerprint. In projects involving personally identifiable information, MFA significantly reduces the risk of unauthorized access and supports compliance with data protection regulations. Question 180. During a project team meeting, a team member mentioned that an upcoming international sporting event could disrupt supply chain timelines in a key region. Which of the following would be the best tool for the project manager to use to communicate this concern to stakeholders? The answer is C. Risk report. A risk report is used to summarize significant risks and their potential impact, enabling stakeholders to understand possible project disruptions. In this case, the international event poses a potential future risk to the supply chain, not a current issue, making the risk report the most appropriate tool for communication. It helps stakeholders see the big picture and make informed decisions about risk responses. Question 181. During the project preparation phase, a stakeholder and the project manager review the expected value and justification for the project. The stakeholder asks that these details be formally documented for review and approval. Which of the following should the project manager prepare? The answer is A. Business case. A business case is developed during the preparation phase to provide a clear explanation of the business need, benefits, and justification for launching the project. It helps stakeholders evaluate whether the project aligns with organizational goals and is worth pursuing. Question 182. A project manager is reviewing a vendor contract that includes a service level agreement. Which of the following would most likely be included in this document? The answer is B. Resolution time for reported issues. A service level agreement, or SLA for short, defines the expected performance standards and responsibilities between a service provider and the client. One of the most critical components of an SLA is the resolution time, which specifies how quickly the provider must resolve reported issues or outages. This helps ensure service reliability and sets clear expectations for accountability, often including penalties if standards are not met. Question 183. While reviewing the project plan, the project manager identifies an opportunity to accelerate delivery by integrating a new analytics feature. The project team lacks the expertise to implement it, so the manager collaborates with another internal team that has the necessary skills. Which of the following risk response strategies is being used? The answer is D. Share. The share strategy is used to respond to positive risks or opportunities by collaborating with another party, in this case another internal project team, to ensure the opportunity is successfully realized. Since the primary team lacks the required skills, partnering allows both teams to combine resources and expertise to take advantage of the opportunity more effectively than either could alone. Question 184. A project manager is planning how to protect sensitive project information. The goal is to prevent unauthorized team members from modifying documents, artifacts, and other data related to the product. Which of the following actions would be the best approach? The answer is A. Define access requirements. Defining access requirements is a fundamental part of project data security. It involves setting clear rules for who is authorized to view, edit, or manage specific documents, artifacts, and data throughout the project. By establishing these requirements early, the project manager can ensure that only the appropriate team members have modification rights, reducing the risk of accidental or unauthorized changes. This helps protect the integrity of project information and supports compliance with internal security policies. Question 185. A project manager is reviewing reports of technical issues from different departments. Which of the following scenarios is most likely related to a network connectivity problem? The answer is C. Multiple engineers can't reach internal systems or send emails. When multiple users or a group can't access internal systems or send emails, this suggests a network connectivity issue, such as a router, switch, or segment failure. These services typically rely on local or wide area network access, so widespread disruption indicates a problem beyond the individual user. The other answer options point to user-specific software or configuration issues, not a broader network fault. Question 186. A project manager is overseeing a software deployment. The development team releases the application to a QA group, then it moves to a test environment before being approved for production. In which of the following types of architectures does this deployment model occur? The answer is D. Tiered. A tiered deployment architecture supports the progressive movement of applications through dedicated environments, such as development, QA, testing, and production, to ensure quality at each stage. Each tier serves a specific function, and this separation helps detect issues earlier, enforce security protocols, and maintain stability. It's a standard approach in structured development pipelines, especially in traditional and enterprise software environments. Question 187. A project manager is holding a final meeting with a vendor who has completed all assigned work and all related payments have been processed. What is the project manager most likely aiming to accomplish in this meeting? The answer is C. Closing contracts. Closing contracts is an essential part of the project closure phase, especially when vendors or third parties are involved. After verifying that all deliverables have been met and payments completed, the project manager ensures that the contract is officially closed, which includes confirming no outstanding obligations and archiving contract-related documentation. This step finalizes the legal and administrative relationship with the vendor. Question 188. A project has been completed and the project manager is preparing to close out all project activities. To support future audits and create a reference for upcoming projects, which of the following tasks should the project manager perform? The answer is B. Archive project documentation. Archiving project documentation is a key step in the project closure phase. It involves securely storing project records such as plans, contracts, reports, and lessons learned so they can be referenced in the future or used during audits. This practice supports organizational knowledge retention and helps future teams learn from past efforts, improving efficiency and decision-making over time. Question 189. Which of the following is an activity that typically occurs during the closing phase of a project? The answer is D. Rewards and celebration. Rewards and celebration are important elements of the closing phase because they help formally recognize the team's accomplishments and provide a sense of closure. Acknowledging contributions and celebrating success boosts team morale, encourages continued motivation, and reinforces positive project outcomes for future efforts. Question 190. A project team encounters a technical challenge related to a specialized component of the system. The project manager brings in an individual with deep expertise in that area to provide guidance and help resolve the issue. What role is this individual fulfilling? The answer is A. Subject matter expert. A subject matter expert, or SME, is a person with specialized knowledge or deep expertise in a specific area of a project. SMEs are often consulted to support decision-making, validate technical approaches, or solve complex problems. While they are not always core team members, they play a critical role in ensuring accuracy, feasibility, and quality in their area of expertise. Question 191. While planning a project, the IT team informs the project manager that a critical server supporting a key system will no longer be supported by the manufacturer by the end of the year. Which of the following best describes the risk the project manager must now address? The answer is B. Infrastructure end of life. Infrastructure end of life refers to the risk associated with hardware or software reaching the point where it is no longer supported by the vendor, meaning no further updates, patches, or technical support will be available. This can introduce significant stability, security, and compatibility risks to the project. Identifying and planning for end-of-life infrastructure is an essential part of project risk management. Question 192. A project manager learns that two large departments will soon be combined under new leadership as part of a broader corporate strategy. Which of the following general risks is most relevant in this situation? The answer is C. Merger and acquisition. A merger and acquisition risk refers to the uncertainty that arises when companies or major departments are consolidated, acquired, or restructured, which can significantly impact a project. These changes often involve leadership shifts, realignment of business goals, or team reorganization, all of which can disrupt timelines, introduce new stakeholders, or require project rescoping. Recognizing this risk early helps the project manager plan effective mitigation strategies. Question 193. A project team identified a risk that a required third-party integration might fail during deployment. Despite mitigation planning, the integration failed during go-live, causing a delay. Which of the following does this situation now represent? The answer is C. An issue. A risk is a potential event that may impact the project if it occurs. Once the risk becomes a reality, it transforms into an issue that must be addressed in real time. In this case, the project team identified the third-party integration as a risk early on, but once it failed, it materialized as an issue, requiring response and resolution. This progression from risk to issue highlights why proactive risk management is critical to minimize project disruptions. Question 194. A project team discovers that a key supplier failed to deliver hardware on time. The delay threatens the schedule and no immediate replacement is available. To avoid the delay, the team temporarily reassigns tasks to focus on software development. Which of the following best describes this approach? The answer is D. Workaround. A workaround is a type of issue resolution used when a problem arises unexpectedly and must be handled immediately, often without a pre-planned solution. In this case, the hardware delivery issue was not planned for, so the team created an ad hoc solution by shifting their focus to other tasks. This is different from a contingency plan, which is prepared in advance for known risks. Workarounds are critical for minimizing disruption when issues surface suddenly during project execution. Question 195. A project manager reviews the schedule for a high-risk activity that has uncertain task durations. To reduce the impact of potential delays, the manager adds extra time after this activity without changing its scope. Which of the following techniques is the manager using? The answer is B. Buffer. Adding a buffer, also known as a contingency reserve, is a common estimating technique used to protect the project schedule from uncertainty or risk. By inserting extra time after a risky or unpredictable task, the project manager builds flexibility into the schedule without changing the task's scope. This helps ensure the overall timeline stays realistic, even if disruptions occur. Buffers are especially useful for tasks on the critical path, where delays could significantly impact the project. Question 196. A company delivers a completed IT system to the client and agrees to fix any issues at no cost for 90 days after go live. Which of the following does this 90-day window represent? The answer is D. Warranty period. A warranty period refers to a defined time frame after the project deliverables have been handed over, during which the provider agrees to resolve defects or issues at no additional cost. This period is a key part of post-implementation support, ensuring the client receives a functioning product that meets quality expectations. It gives stakeholders confidence that the product will perform as intended even after project closure, reinforcing the overall quality management process. Question 197. A project manager uses a secure, access-controlled repository to store meeting minutes, stakeholder emails, and decisions made during the project. Which of the following communication practices is the project manager demonstrating? The answer is C. Maintaining communication records. Maintaining communication records involves keeping organized, accurate documentation of key project communications, such as meeting notes, approvals, and decisions, throughout the project lifecycle. When done properly, it ensures communication integrity by preserving the original content without unauthorized changes. It also supports communication security by restricting access to sensitive information through appropriate safeguards. Together, these practices help project managers ensure that all communications remain trustworthy and protected. Question 198. Which of the following best describes an action item in the context of project meetings? The answer is B. A task assigned to an individual to complete after the meeting. An action item is a task or responsibility that is assigned during a meeting and must be completed afterward by a designated individual or group. It helps ensure follow-through and accountability by converting discussions into actionable steps. Action items are often documented with a due date and owner, allowing project managers to track progress and keep momentum between meetings. Question 199. A project involves upgrading the company's internal servers to a newer platform. As part of the transition, the project manager plans to retire the old hardware. Which of the following best describes this phase of the resource lifecycle? The answer is D. Decommissioning. Hardware decommissioning takes place during the final stages of the resource lifecycle, when outdated or no longer needed equipment is formally retired. This process includes securely wiping data, updating inventory records, and ensuring proper disposal or recycling. This is often paired with successor planning, which identifies and prepares replacement resources and links the end of one resource's life cycle to the beginning of the next, creating a continuous, sustainable management process. Question 200. Which of the following items are most likely to be included in a master service agreement? The answer is A. Purchase orders and terms of reference. A master service agreement is a foundational contract that defines the general terms and conditions under which future transactions or projects will occur between parties. It often includes purchase orders for tracking authorized expenditures and terms of reference, which outlines the scope, deliverables, and expectations for services to be provided. This document helps clarify responsibilities and streamline procurement without renegotiating terms for each engagement. Wow! You have completed 200 questions. How about one more question as a reward for your hard work? Question 201. A project manager is analyzing how many hours each team member logged on various project tasks over the last month. The data is shown in a chart that displays how frequently certain hour ranges occurred across different tasks. Which of the following tools is the project manager using? The answer is C. Histogram. A histogram displays the frequency distribution of data over specific intervals, such as ranges of hours logged, using bars to represent the count of values in each range. It helps project managers identify patterns. Unlike a Pareto chart, which ranks items by frequency in descending order and includes a cumulative line, a histogram focuses solely on the shape and spread of the data. Congratulations on completing our CompTIA A Project Plus practice exam. Your dedication and effort are truly commendable. With this milestone behind you, you're one step closer to earning your Project Plus certification. The next step is to register for the official exam and put your knowledge to the test. While you've already accomplished a lot, a bit of extra review never hurts. With that said, feel free to revisit our free training videos or take another round of the practice exam whenever you'd like. It's all about making sure you're fully prepared. And remember, every step you take brings you closer to your goal. So stay confident, give it your best, and remember, we're cheering you on all the way. Thank you for watching. And be sure to subscribe for more great content.